Look, I'm standing here and I know what you're thinking. You see me, Elon Musk, the guy who's been through the ringer, building rockets that sometimes blow up, cars that rewrite the rules, and neural tech that sounds like it's ripped from a sci-fi novel. You look at me and you're like, how the hell does this guy still have that spark in his eyes? How's he got that relentless energy, that drive that doesn't quit when the world's thrown every punch at him? I get it. You're curious. You're wondering what's keeping me young, what's fueling this fire when I should, by all accounts, be burned out, worn down, or at least look like I've aged 100 years under the pressure of running companies like SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink. You're not alone in asking. People stare, they whisper, they speculate. They think it's some biohacking trick, some futuristic gadget, or maybe I've got a secret lab where I'm sipping from the fountain of youth. Let me tell you right now, it's not what you think. It's not a pill, not a diet, not some crazy tech I've cooked up in a basement. The truth is way bigger, way more profound, and it's going to hit you like a Falcon Heavy launch. So buckle up because I'm about to lay it out. No fluff, no detours, just the raw, unfiltered reality of what keeps me going and why it's something every single one of you, especially the women out there, can tap into. I'm not here to sell you a product or pitch some new app. I'm here to talk about something fundamental, something that's been true since the dawn of humanity, something that's powered me through the darkest nights and the wildest dreams. You see, the world looks at me and sees a guy who's defied the odds, someone who's taken insane risks, bet everything on ideas most people called crazy, and somehow keeps showing up with the same fire I had when I was a kid coding my first game at 12. But let's be real, I'm not superhuman. I've got the same 24 hours in a day as you do, the same fears creeping in when things go south, the same moments where I wonder if I'm in over my head. The difference isn't some genetic lottery or a magic bullet. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world, a way of digging deep into what makes us human and finding the strength to keep pushing no matter what. And ladies, I'm talking to you specifically because I know you've got this in spades. You've got this incredible untapped power inside you, this resilience and intuition that can move mountains if you let it loose. Let's start with the obvious. Life is brutal. It doesn't care who you are, what you've built, or how many followers you've got on X. It'll hit you with setbacks that feel like getting slammed by a 100-ton rocket booster. I've been there. I've watched SpaceX launches fail spectacularly, $90 million going up in flames in seconds. I've had moments where Tesla was weeks away from bankruptcy, where every decision felt like it could end everything I'd worked for. I've sat in rooms with investors telling me my ideas were impossible, that I was delusional for thinking we could colonize Mars or make electric cars mainstream. And don't get me started on the personal side, sleepless nights, relationships strained by my obsession with work, the weight of knowing millions of people are counting on you to deliver. If you're a woman out there, you know this kind of pressure too. Maybe it's not about rockets or cars, but it's real juggling careers, families, expectations, the constant noise of a world telling you who you should be, how you should look, what you should want. It's exhausting, right? The endless demands, the judgment, the feeling that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. I see you, I feel that. And I'm here to tell you that the secret to not just surviving, but thriving through all, that isn't in some external fix, it's inside you, waiting to be unleashed. So, what's the deal? Why do I keep going when the world's screaming at me to stop? Why do I still have this energy, this drive, when I've been through the kind of stress that had aged most people a decade in a single year? It's not about hacks or shortcuts. It's about a way of thinking that I've honed over years of getting knocked down and standing back up. It's about asking the big questions. Why are we here? What's worth fighting for? What's the point of it all? For me, it started early. I grew up reading sci-fi, dreaming about space, about a future where humanity wasn't stuck on one fragile planet. That wasn't just a kid's fantasy, it was a spark, a purpose that burned so bright it carried me through every failure, every doubter, every moment I wanted to give up. That purpose is what keeps my eyes clear, my mind sharp, my heart beating with the same intensity it did when I was 20. And you, every woman listening, you've got that spark too. Maybe it's buried under years of doubt or obligations, but it's there a reason, a dream, a fire that's uniquely yours. The question is, are you going to let it flicker out or are you going to fan it into a blaze? Let's talk about what this really looks like because it's not some abstract philosophy. It's gritty, it's real, and it's messy. When I was starting SpaceX, we had 3 launches fail in a row. 3. Each one was a gut punch, millions of dollars, years of work, gone. The team was demoralized, investors were bailing, and I was sleeping on a cot in a factory, trying to figure out how to keep the dream alive. I could have walked away. Most people would have, but I didn't, because I believed in something bigger than the failure in front of me. I believed that getting humanity to Mars was worth every ounce of pain. That belief wasn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling, it was a lifeline. It's what got me out of bed when I hadn't slept in 48 hours. It's what kept me calm when the world was screaming that I'd lost it. And women, you've got that same power. Think about the times you faced your own failures, a job that didn't work out, a relationship that broke your heart, a dream you had to put on hold because life got in the way. You didn't give up. You kept going. That's not luck. That's you tapping into something deeper, something that says, I'm not done yet. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not, the world doesn't hand you victories on a silver platter. It's a grind, 80-hour weeks, impossible deadlines, people telling you your ideas are crazy. For me, it's been about breaking things down to first principles, stripping away the noise, and getting to the core of what matters. When everyone said reusable rockets were impossible, I didn't argue with their assumptions. I went back to the physics thrust, fuel, materials, and figured out what was actually possible. That's how we got the Falcon 9 landing on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean. That's how we turned impossible into reality. And ladies, you can do the same. Maybe your battlefield isn't a rocket factory, but it's your life, your career, your family, your dreams. You've got to strip away the noise, the expectations, the voices telling you what you can't do. Get to the core of who you are, what you want, what you're willing to fight for. That's where your power lies. That's where you find the energy to keep going when the world says stop. I know what it's like to feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. I've had moments where I wondered if I was strong enough to keep going. When Tesla was bleeding cash in 2008, I was putting every cent I had into it, money from PayPal, my personal savings, everything. I was on the verge of losing it all, and the stress was unreal. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart racing, thinking, this is it. This is where it all falls apart. But here's the thing, those moments don't define you unless you let them. They're just data points, challenges to solve, puzzles to crack. For every woman out there, you've had your own 3 a.m. moments. Maybe it's worrying about your kids, your career, your health, or just feeling like you're not enough. Those moments are real and they hurt, but they're also where you find out what you're made of. You don't need a PhD in rocket science to push through. You need a reason, a purpose that's bigger than the pain. For me, it's about making humanity multiplanetary, saving the planet with sustainable energy. For you, it could be building a life you're proud of, inspiring your kids, or creating something that changes the world in your own way. What's wild is that this energy, this spark, isn't something you're born with or not. It's something you build, something you choose every single day. I'm not young because of some anti-aging serum or because I've got a team of doctors on speed dial. I'm young because I refuse to let the world grind me down. I refuse to let failure define me. I refuse to stop dreaming, no matter how many times I get knocked on my ass. And women, you've got that same choice. You're out there balancing a million things, work, family, dreams, doubts, and the world's telling you to slow down, to settle, to fit into some box. Screw that. You don't have to fit anywhere. You can build your own path, your own rocket, your own future. The secret isn't in some external thing, it's in your mind, your heart, your refusal to give up. It's in the way you decide to show up day after day, even when it's hard. Um, I want you to think about something for a second. Think about the last time you felt truly alive, like you were firing on all cylinders, like nothing could stop you. Maybe it was a moment at work when you nailed a project, or at home when you saw your kid light up because of something you did, or maybe it was just a quiet moment where you felt at peace with yourself. That's the spark I'm talking about. That's the thing that keeps me going, and it's inside every one of you. The world will try to bury it under stress, doubt, and noise, but it's there waiting for you to dig it out. And when you do, when you tap into that, you'll see why people look at me and wonder how I'm still standing. It's not because I'm special. It's because I've learned to lean into that spark, to let it guide me, to let it fuel me when everything else says quit. So here's the deal. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy. It's not. Building Tesla wasn't easy. Getting to Mars won't be easy. And whatever you're fighting for, whether it's your career, your family, your dreams, it's not going to be a straight line. There'll be failures, setbacks, moments where you feel like you're running on empty, but that's where the magic happens. That's where you find out who you are. That's where you build the kind of strength that doesn't just keep you young, it makes you unstoppable. Ladies, you've got this power inside you, this ability to rise above, to create, to inspire. The world needs you to tap into it. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to keep going. And I'm betting on you to make that choice. All right, let's dive into the real stuff, the moments that define you, the ones that feel like the universe is testing your resolve with a sledgehammer. You've heard me talk about the spark, the fire that keeps me going. But let's get raw for a second. That fire wasn't just handed to me, it was forged in the crucible of failure, in the kind of gut wrenching setbacks that make you question everything. I'm talking about nights where I stared at the ceiling, wondering if I'd bet my entire life on a dream that was about to crash and burn. And ladies, I know you've had those nights too when the weight of the world feels like it's crushing you, when every step forward seems to lead to a brick wall. But here's the truth. Those moments aren't the end. They're the beginning of something bigger, something stronger, if you dare to think beyond the pain and embrace the chaos. This is where you build the kind of strength that doesn't just keep you standing, it propels you forward like a rocket breaking free of Earth's gravity. Let's go back to 2008, one of the darkest years of my life. SpaceX had just lost its third rocket in a row. Boom, 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 three failures, each one costing tens of millions in years of blood, sweat, and tears. The team was demoralized, investors were jumping ship, and the press was circling like vultures, ready to write my obituary as the guy who thought he could beat NASA. Tesla was no better, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, with production issues piling up faster than we could fix them. I was sleeping on a couch in the factory, living on adrenaline and coffee, with every bank account I had drained to keep the dream alive. I remember one night, sitting alone in the dark, doing the math in my head. If we didn't nail the next launch, SpaceX was done. If Tesla couldn't deliver cars, we were toast. The stakes weren't just financial, they were existential. This wasn't about losing money. It was about losing a vision that I'd dedicated my life to. You ever had a moment like that, where everything you've poured your heart into feels like it's slipping through your fingers? Maybe it's a career you fought for, a family you're holding together, or a dream you've carried since you were a kid. That's the crucible. That's where you find out what you're made of. Here's what I learned in those moments. Failure isn't your enemy, it's your teacher, but it's a brutal one, and it doesn't hand out gold stars for effort. When that third rocket blew up, I could have packed it in, said, well, I tried, and walked away. Most people would have, but I didn't, because I went back to first principles. I tore everything down to the basics: physics, engineering, the raw math of what makes a rocket fly. We analyzed every failure, every bolt, every line of code until we found the problem. And when we launched that fourth rocket, the Falcon one, and it hit orbit, it wasn't just a win for SpaceX, it was a win for everyone who's ever been told their dream is impossible. That's what I want you to take away, ladies. When life hands you a failure, don't let it define you. Break it down, strip it to its core, and figure out what it's teaching you. You've got that power. Whether it's a job you didn't get, a relationship that fell apart, or a goal that feels out of reach, you can dissect it, learn from it, and come back stronger. That's not just resilience, that's alchemy, turning the lead of failure into the gold of progress. Now, let's talk about thinking big, because that's the fuel for this kind of transformation. I'm not talking about dreaming of a bigger house or a fancier car. Those are fine, but they're small potatoes. I'm talking about the kind of thinking that scares you, the kind that makes people roll their eyes and call you crazy. When I started SpaceX, the goal wasn't just to build a rocket, it was to make humanity a multiplanetary species. That's not a goal you jot down on a post-it note. It's a vision so big it forces you to rewrite the rules of what's possible. And ladies, you've got that same capacity to think big. Maybe it's not about Mars, but it's about something that sets your soul on fire, a business you want to start, a community you want to uplift, a legacy you want to leave for your kids. The world will tell you to play it safe, to stay in your lane, to not rock the boat. But here's the thing, boats are meant to be rocked. You don't get to the stars by staying comfortable. You get there by daring to think so big it terrifies you, then taking the first step anyway. I know what you're thinking. Elon, that sounds great, but I'm not you. I don't have your resources, your brain, your platform. Let me stop you right there. You don't need $1 billion or a PhD to think big. You need courage, and women, you've got that in spades. I've seen it: mothers who keep their families together through impossible odds, entrepreneurs who start with nothing but a laptop and a dream, women who face discrimination, doubt, and every kind of barrier but keep pushing forward. That's not luck. That's you choosing to see beyond the obstacles, to imagine a future that doesn't exist yet, and then building it piece by piece. When I was scraping by in my early days, sleeping on the floor of a rented office in Palo Alto, I didn't have resources either. I had a vision and a willingness to fail spectacularly. And every time I failed, I learned something that made the next step possible. You can do that too. Your failures, whether it's a project that tanked, a dream deferred, or a moment you didn't live up to your own expectations, are just data points. Use them, learn from them, let them fuel your next big move. Let's get practical for a second, because I'm not here to just pump you up with feel good vibes. Thinking big and embracing failure means rewiring how you approach problems. Take Tesla. When we were struggling to scale production for the Model 3, the factory was a mess, robots breaking down, supply chains choking, deadlines slipping. Everyone said we couldn't do it, that mass producing an affordable electric car was a pipe dream. So what did I do? I moved into the factory, lived on the production line, and got my hands dirty with the team. We didn't just fix problems, we rethought the entire process, from how we source parts to how we program the robots. That's what I mean by first principles. Don't accept the status quo, question everything. If something's not working, break it down to its core components and rebuild it better. Ladies, you can apply this to your life right now. Got a problem at work? Don't just complain about it, dissect it, figure out what's broken, and propose a solution. Struggling with a personal goal? Strip it down to the basics. What's the one thing you can do today to move forward? You don't need to solve everything at once. You just need to take one step, then another, and keep going. Here's where it gets personal. I know women face unique pressures, expectations to be perfect, to juggle a million roles, to look a certain way while doing it all. I've seen it in the women I work with, the women in my life. You're expected to be a rock star at work, a nurturing mom, a supportive partner, all while keeping a smile on your face and not breaking a sweat. That's a heavier load than any rocket I've ever launched. But here's what I've learned from working with brilliant women at Tesla, SpaceX, and beyond. You're not just capable of handling that load, you're capable of redefining it. You can say, screw the expectations, I'm going to do this my way. You can fail, learn, and come back stronger, just like I did when SpaceX was on the brink. You can think so big that the world's expectations seem small by comparison. That's not just power, that's a revolution. Failure isn't the end, it's the raw material for your success. Every time you fall, you're not starting from zero. You're starting with experience, with lessons, with a clearer map of where to go next. When I look back at those early SpaceX failures, I don't see explosions. I see the stepping stones that got us to the moon, figuratively and maybe literally one day. When you look back at your own failures, don't see them as scars. See them as the foundation of your next big win. Ladies, you've got the strength to turn every setback into a setup for something greater. You don't need to be me. You don't need to build rockets or run a company. You just need to dare to think big, to embrace the failures as part of the journey, and to keep moving forward one audacious step at a time. That's how you build a life that doesn't just survive, it thrives, and it changes the world while you're at it. All right, let's shift gears. You've heard me talk about the spark that keeps me going, the failures that forged me, but now let's get to the heart of what makes all this worth it: purpose. Not the fluffy, feel good kind of purpose you read about in self help books, but the kind that grabs you by the soul and doesn't let go, the kind that makes you jump out of bed at 4 a.m., ready to tackle problems that would make most people run for cover. For me, it's about pushing humanity forward, building a future where we're not just surviving on one fragile planet, but thriving across the stars. It's about making electric cars the norm, not the exception, and giving our kids a shot at a world that's not choking on its own exhaust. That's my fuel. That's what keeps me grinding through 100-hour weeks, through lawsuits, through skeptics who think I'm out of my mind. And ladies, I'm here to tell you, you've got a purpose like that too. It's inside you, maybe buried under the noise of daily life, but it's there, waiting to be ignited. When you find it, when you connect with it, it's like strapping a rocket booster to your soul. You'll move faster, burn brighter, and nothing, not even the toughest storms, will stop you. Let's be real. Purpose isn't something you stumble across while scrolling through X or sipping coffee on a Sunday morning. It's something you dig for, something you fight to uncover. For me, it started as a kid, reading Asimov and Clarke, dreaming of a future where humanity wasn't tethered to Earth. That dream wasn't just a fantasy, it was a question that haunted me. Why are we stuck here? Why aren't we out there exploring, building, surviving? That question became my compass. It's why I sold everything I had to start SpaceX, why I poured my last dollars into Tesla when everyone said it was doomed. It's why I'm still here, pushing boundaries that scare even me. But here's the thing. Your purpose doesn't have to be about colonizing Mars or reinventing transportation. It can be about creating a safe, loving home for your kids. It can be about building a business that changes lives in your community. It can be about inspiring one person, your daughter, your sister, your friend, to believe in themselves. Purpose isn't about scale, it's about meaning. It's about finding the one thing that makes you feel alive, that makes the grind worth it, that makes you say, this is why I'm here. I know what it's like to lose sight of that. There were moments, especially in the early days of Tesla, when I got so buried in the chaos, supply chain nightmares, production bottlenecks, endless lawsuits, that I forgot why I was doing it. I was just surviving, putting out fires, trying not to drown. You've been there too, haven't you? Those days when you're so caught up in the grind bills, deadlines, expectations that you forget what you're fighting for. Maybe you're a mom running on fumes, trying to keep everyone happy while your own dreams get pushed to the back burner. Maybe you're climbing the career ladder only to realize the view from the top isn't what you expected. Those moments are real and they can drain you. But they're also a signal, a wake up call to reconnect with your why. For me, it was remembering that Tesla wasn't just about cars, it was about saving the planet from fossil fuels. SpaceX wasn't just about rockets, it was about giving humanity a backup plan. When I reconnected with that purpose, it was like flipping a switch suddenly. The exhaustion didn't matter. The setbacks didn't matter. All that mattered was taking the next step towards something bigger than myself. Ladies, you've got that same switch inside you. Think about what lights you up. Maybe it's the moment you see your kid smile because you showed up for them, really showed up. Maybe it's the idea you've been scribbling in a notebook, too scared to pursue because it feels too big. Maybe it's the quiet conviction that you're meant to make a difference, whether it's in your family, your community, or the world. That's your purpose, and it's not just a nice to have, it's your superpower. When you align your life with it, everything changes. The stress doesn't vanish, but it becomes fuel. The doubts don't disappear, but they become background noise. You start moving with a clarity and energy that people can't help but notice. They'll look at you and wonder, how does she do it? How does she keep going? And the answer isn't some secret sauce, it's you living for something that matters. Let's talk about how this plays out in the real world, because purpose isn't just a feeling, it's a way of living. Take Neuralink, one of my crazier bets. The goal isn't just to build cool tech, it's to merge human brains with AI so we can keep up with machines that might otherwise outsmart us. Sounds nuts, right? But every time we hit a wall, technical glitches, ethical debates, skeptics saying it's impossible, I go back to the purpose, preserving human consciousness, making sure we're not left behind in an AI-driven future. That keeps me grounded even when the problems seem insurmountable. You can do the same. Say you're running a small business and sales are tanking. You could give up, or you could ask, why did I start this? Maybe it's because you wanted to create something meaningful to solve a problem no one else was tackling. Reconnect with that, and suddenly the bad quarter isn't the end. It's a challenge to solve, a puzzle to crack. Or maybe you're a teacher burned out from endless paperwork and tough days in the classroom. Go back to your why. The kid who finally gets it, the one whose life you're changing with every lesson, that's your rocket fuel. That's what keeps you going when the world says stop. Now, I know women face pressures that can make finding your purpose feel like a luxury. You're juggling a million roles: mom, partner, professional, friend, and the world's constantly telling you what you should prioritize. Be the perfect mom, but also crush it at work. Look flawless, but don't spend too much time on yourself. It's a rigged game designed to make you feel like you're falling short. I've seen it in the women I work with: engineers, scientists, leaders who are absolute rock stars but still wrestle with that pressure. Here's my advice: reject the game. You don't have to play by those rules. Your purpose isn't about meeting someone else's expectations, it's about what sets your heart on fire. Maybe it's creating art that speaks truth. Maybe it's advocating for people who don't have a voice. Maybe it's raising kids who'll change the world. Whatever it is, own it, protect it, let it guide you, because when you're living for a purpose that's bigger than the noise, you'll find an energy you didn't know you had. Here's where it gets practical. Finding your purpose starts with asking hard questions. What makes you lose track of time? What problem do you want to solve, even if it seems impossible? For me, it was always about the big picture, humanity's survival, our place in the cosmos. For you, it might be closer to home, but it's no less powerful. Start small. Write down one thing you care about deeply, something you'd fight for, even if no one else gets it. Then take one step toward it, no matter how tiny. When I started SpaceX, I didn't have a rocket factory. I had a laptop, a few books on aerospace engineering, and a crazy idea. That was enough to start. You don't need everything figured out, you just need to move. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how the path starts to form. Doors open, people show up, opportunities you didn't see before start to materialize. That's not magic. It's what happens when you align your actions with your purpose. I want to speak directly to the women out there because I know you're carrying a unique kind of strength. You've got this incredible ability to nurture, to create, to hold things together when the world's falling apart. That's not just a soft skill, it's a superpower. I've seen it in the women at Tesla and SpaceX who solve problems with a clarity and tenacity that blows me away. But I also know you're fighting battles that don't always make the headlines: self doubt, societal pressure, the constant balancing act. Your purpose is your anchor in that storm. It's what reminds you that you're not just surviving, you're building something extraordinary. So don't let the world dim your light. Don't let the grind bury your why. Find it, hold on to it, and let it drive you. Because when you live for a purpose that's bigger than yourself, you don't just change your life, you change the world around you. Let's cut to the chase. Nobody builds anything worth a damn by themselves. Not me, not you, not anybody. You might think I'm some lone genius coding in a garage or dreaming up Mars colonies in a vacuum, but that's a myth. Um, the truth is, every crazy idea I've chased, SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, the boring companies only work because of the people around me. Brilliant engineers, relentless operators, dreamers who believed in the mission when the world called us nuts. I'm talking about the power of community, the kind of connection that amplifies your strength and keeps you grounded when the ground feels like it's crumbling. And ladies, this is where you shine. You've got this innate ability to build bonds, to lift others up, to create ecosystems where everyone thrives. But it's not just about connection, it's about learning constantly, obsessively, like your life depends on it. Because in a world that's changing faster than a Tesla on ludicrous mode, standing still is death. This is about how you tap into the collective power of those around you and keep evolving no matter what life throws your way. Let's start with community, because I've seen what happens when you try to go it alone. Early on with SpaceX, I thought I could solve everything myself: design the rockets, crunch the numbers, figure out the physics. Big mistake. I was drowning in details, burning out, making dumb errors because I was too stubborn to lean on others. It wasn't until I started trusting my team engineers like Win Shotwell, who's basically the backbone of SpaceX, that we turned things around. Those early failures, they stopped being just my failures and became our lessons. We'd huddle after a launch, went bust, dissect every screw up, and come out stronger. That's what a real community does. It shares the load, multiplies the wins, and turns setbacks into springboards. Ladies, you know this better than anyone. You're the ones holding families together, building networks of friends who've got your back, creating spaces where people feel seen. That's not just emotional labor, it's strategic. It's how you build a life that's resilient, that can weather any storm. Think about your own life. You've got people, maybe a best friend who knows your secrets, a mentor who pushes you, a kid who looks up to you. Those connections aren't just nice to haves, they're your rocket fuel. When Tesla was on the brink in 2008, I wasn't just fighting for me, I was fighting for the thousands of people who'd bet their careers on our mission. Their belief in me and mine in them kept us going. You've got that same power. Maybe you're a mom who's leaned on other parents for advice when you felt lost. Maybe you're part of a group chat that's basically a lifeline on tough days. Those connections are your strength, but they don't just happen. You've got to build them, nurture them, show up for them. Be the one who listens when someone's struggling, who celebrates when they win, who says, I've got your back. Because when you do, you're not just helping them, you're building a network that'll catch you when you fall. Now, let's talk about learning, because connection alone isn't enough. The world's moving at warp speed: AI, biotech, climate tech, you name it. If you're not learning, you're not just standing still, you're sliding backward. Um, I'm obsessed with learning, always have been. When I started SpaceX, I didn't know squat about rockets. I read textbooks, grilled experts, and asked dumb questions until I got it. Same with Tesla. I wasn't a car guy, but I learned everything I could about batteries, motors, manufacturing. That's not about being a genius, it's about being relentless. You've got to treat your brain like a muscle, work it, stretch it, push it past what's comfortable. Ladies, I know you're already doing this, even if you don't give yourself credit. You're learning how to navigate a new job, how to raise kids in a world that's nothing like the one you grew up in, how to keep yourself sane in a culture that's always demanding more. That's not just surviving, that's evolving, and it's what sets you apart. Here's where it gets real. Learning isn't always fun, it's humbling. It means admitting you don't know everything, sometimes looking like an idiot in front of people who do. When we were developing the Tesla Model S, I had to sit through meetings where engineers threw jargon at me. I barely understood. I could have faked it, but instead I asked questions, stupid ones, sometimes until I got the picture. That's how we solve problems nobody else could. You can do the same. Maybe you're starting a business and don't know the first thing about marketing. So what? Pick up a book, watch a YouTube tutorial, find someone who's done it, and buy them coffee. Maybe you're trying to be a better parent but feel like you're failing. There's no shame in reading parenting blogs, joining a support group, or just asking another mom how she gets through the day. Learning isn't about perfection, it's about progress, and every step forward makes you stronger. What's beautiful about combining community and learning is how they feed each other. When you're connected to the right people, you're not just learning from your own mistakes, you're learning from theirs. At SpaceX, we have a culture where failure is a team sport. Someone screws up, we all analyze it, figure out what went wrong, and make sure it doesn't happen again. That's how we went from blowing up rockets to landing them on a dime. You can build that in your life too. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who push you to grow, who aren't afraid to call you out when you're off track. Ladies, you're naturals at this, creating spaces where people can be real, where they can learn and grow together. Think about the women in your life who've inspired you. Maybe it's a colleague who taught you how to negotiate, a friend who showed you how to stand up for yourself, a mom who modeled resilience. Those are your teachers, your co-conspirators in this journey of becoming unstoppable. Let's get practical. Building a community starts with intention. Find people who share your values, who aren't afraid to dream big, who lift you up when you're down. It doesn't have to be a huge group. Start with one person. Reach out to someone you admire, ask them a question, offer to help with something they care about. That's how I built my early teams, finding people who were as crazy about the mission as I was, and learning, make it a habit. Spend 10 minutes a day reading something new, whether it's about your industry, a skill you want to master, or just something that sparks your curiosity. Listen to podcasts, take online courses, ask questions. I'm 50 years old and I'm still learning every day. Quantum mechanics, neural interfaces, tunnel engineering. If I can do it with my schedule, you can carve out 10 minutes to feed your brain. I want to speak directly to the women out there because I know the world doesn't always make it easy. You're fighting stereotypes, balancing roles, dealing with expectations that can feel like a 10-ton weight, but you're also wired for connection and growth in a way that's pure dynamite. I've seen it in the women at Tesla and SpaceX engineers who solve problems I couldn't, leaders who keep teams together under insane pressure, visionaries who see angles I miss. You don't need to do this alone, and you don't need to know everything up front. Lean on your people, learn from them, and keep growing. Every time you do, you're not just building a better version of yourself, you're building a better world. Because when women connect and learn together, they don't just change their own lives, they change the game for everyone. We're at the finish line of this talk, but let's be clear. This isn't the end, it's the launch pad. I've laid out the raw truth about what keeps me going, the spark, the failures, the purpose, the connections, the relentless learning. Now it's your turn, ladies. You're not here to just listen, nod, and go back to the grind. You're here to ignite something inside you, to strap into your own rocket and blast off toward a future you define. I'm not talking about chasing someone else's dream or fitting into a mold the world's built for you. I'm talking about daring to be so unapologetically you that the world has to adjust. You've got the power to reshape your life, your community, hell, even the planet if you choose to step up. This is your moment to stop playing small, to stop doubting, to stop waiting for permission. Women, you're built for this. You've got the resilience, the intuition, the fire to change the game. So let's talk about how you take everything we've covered and turn it into action, because the future isn't something you wait for, it's something you build one bold move at a time. Let's cut through the noise. The world's a mess right now. Climate crises, tech revolutions, social upheaval. It's easy to feel like you're just a passenger, like the big stuff is for someone else to handle. I get it. When I started SpaceX, people laughed, said a private company couldn't touch NASA's turf. When Tesla was bleeding cash, folks bet on us folding like a cheap lawn chair. But here's the thing. Big change doesn't come from the sidelines. It comes from people who say, screw it, I'm in. That's what I did. I bet everything on a vision most called insane. And you, every woman out there, you've got that same audacity inside you. Maybe it's not about rockets or cars, but it's about your life, your dreams, your impact. You're not just a mom, a sister, a professional, you're a force. You've got ideas, passions, solutions that the world hasn't seen yet. The question is, are you going to bury them under doubt or are you going to launch them? Action starts with owning your path. I've spent my life chasing goals that scare me, colonizing Mars, rewiring transportation, linking brains to machines. Each one felt like a leap off a cliff, but I jumped because I knew the alternative was worse, a life of what ifs. You've got your own cliffs. Maybe it's starting a business, going back to school, leaving a job that's killing your soul, or just standing up for what you believe in. Whatever it is, don't wait for the perfect moment. There's no such thing. When we launched the first Falcon 1, we didn't have all the answers. We had a prototype, a team, and a deadline. We moved, we failed, we fixed it, we won. You can do the same. Take that idea you've been sitting on, whether it's a side hustle, a community project, or a personal goal, and do one thing today. Write a plan, make a call, take a class. Doesn't matter how small it seems. Every step is thrust, pushing you closer to orbit. Now, let's talk about fear, because it's real. I'm not immune to it. There were nights I lay awake, heart pounding, thinking about what I'd lose if SpaceX or Tesla tanked my savings, my reputation, my team's trust. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. It's your brain telling you you're onto something big, something worth risking. Ladies, this feeling, maybe it's the fear of failing as a mom, of not being enough at work, of being judged for chasing a dream that doesn't fit the mold. That fear isn't your enemy, it's your co-pilot. It's telling you you're pushing boundaries, and that's exactly where you need to be. When I feel fear, I don't run from it, I use it. I ask, what's the worst that can happen? Usually it's not as bad as my brain makes it out to be, and even if it is, I'd rather crash trying than live wondering. You've got that same choice. Next time fear creeps in, stare it down. Ask what's really at stake, then take the leap. You'll be amazed at how much stronger you feel on the other side. Here's where you shine, ladies. You're wired to create, to nurture, to transform. I've seen it in the women I work with, engineers who debug code faster than I can blink, leaders who keep teams focused under insane pressure, mothers who balance careers and kids with a grace I can't even fathom. That's not just talent, that's a superpower. The world needs that from you now more than ever. Whether you're building a company, raising the next generation, or fighting for a cause, you're not just shaping your life, you're shaping the future. Think about it. Every time you show up, every time you push past doubt, you're proving what's possible. You're showing your daughter, your sister, your friend that they can do it too. That's not just personal success, that's a legacy. It's like planting a seed for a multiplanetary civilization, except it's right here in your world with the people you touch every day. Let's get practical, because I'm not here to just hype you up. Action means making choices every day that align with your vision. Want to start something new? Block off an hour this week to research it, read, watch, connect with someone who's done it. Feeling stuck in a job or a role? Write down one thing. You can change a conversation with your boss, a skill you can learn, a boundary you can set. Want to make a difference? Find one person you can help, a kid who needs encouragement, a colleague who's struggling, a cause that needs your voice. I do this at SpaceX and Tesla all the time, break big goals into small, executable steps. When we're designing a new rocket, we don't just dream about Mars. We test one component, then another, then another. You can do the same. Break your dream into pieces, then tackle one at a time. Before you know it, you're halfway there. I want to speak directly to you, women, because the world's counting on you in ways it doesn't always admit. You're the ones who hold families together, who innovate in ways that don't always make headlines, who keep the human side of things alive in a world obsessed with machines. I see it in my teams, women who bring ideas that change the trajectory of a project, who solve problems with a clarity that cuts through the noise. You don't need to be me or anyone else. You just need to be you, fully, fiercely, without apology. The world's not going to hand you a launch pad, you've got to build it. But you've got everything you need: the spark, the lessons from failure, the purpose, the connections, the hunger to learn. All that's left is to act. Don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait for someone to say you're ready. You're ready now. Launch your rocket and let the world catch up. So here's my challenge to you. Go out there and do something bold. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Take one step toward the thing that scares you, the thing that sets your heart on fire. Maybe it's telling someone your idea for the first time. Maybe it's signing up for that course you've been eyeing. Maybe it's just looking in the mirror and saying, I'm enough and I'm going to make this happen. Whatever it is, do it. Because every time you act, you're not just moving forward, you're inspiring someone else to do the same. You're building a future where women don't just survive, they thrive, they lead, they redefine what's possible. I'm betting on you, and I don't bet lightly. So go out there, unleash your rocket, and show the world what you're made of. The future's waiting, and it's got your name on it.